Welcome back to the WokeWatch. Today, we're going deep into a story that's shaking both the music world and Hollywood at the same time. Billie Eilish, a superstar who's dominated charts since her teenage years, is now facing a career storm like never before. And no, this isn't just about a Grammy night comment or a headline-making remark. What's happening right now involves brand deals lost, studios pulling back, and big decisions being made behind closed doors that could affect not just Billie's music career, but her expanding presence in film and pop culture. Let's start with the backlash itself. Billie made a comment during the 2026 Grammys that immediately sparked outrage among certain audiences. But here's the nuance. This is not an isolated incident. Over the past few years, her public image has become increasingly politicized, often unintentionally, sometimes through her brother Phineas, who is very active on social media. Phineas has been vocal with his political messaging, and fans and critics alike notice it constantly. This creates a cycle. Every time Billie steps into a public spotlight, her past comments and the online activity surrounding her family come under scrutiny. In Hollywood and corporate America, perception is everything, and right now the perception around Billie is volatile. Now here's where things get really interesting. Not all studios are reacting the same way. Some, like smaller production houses or brands, are stepping back entirely. Others, like Amazon MGM Studios, are actually moving forward with plans that involve Billie in major projects. Reports suggest that Amazon is in talks with Billie to perform in future James Bond films, not just as a performer for the opening sequences, but potentially even appearing in a cameo. Why does this matter? Because Bond is one of the most iconic franchises in cinematic history, and including Billie is a bold move that could alienate longtime fans while trying to attract younger viewers. Hollywood often faces this dilemma: prioritize traditional audiences or chase cultural relevance and new demographics. Amazon seems to be betting on the latter. Some insiders suggest that Billie's pursuit of Amazon MGM is born out of necessity. She has reportedly lost 5 major brand deals and been blacklisted by several studios. When your options shrink this quickly, even a high-risk opportunity can start to look like the only viable option. But this raises a question. Is this smart career strategy, or is it desperation? Pursuing a major franchise like Bond can be a career booster, but if executed poorly, it can backfire, damaging both public perception and market value. Studios know this. That's why Amazon executives are reportedly split. Some warn that her presence could alienate core fans, while others believe it's worth the gamble to attract younger audiences. Beyond Billie herself, this situation highlights a major shift in Hollywood. Some studios avoid controversy at all costs. Others, especially larger conglomerates like Amazon, are intentionally weaving social and cultural narratives like DEI into their projects. In practical terms, this means decisions are no longer purely creative or financial. They are also political and demographic. Amazon appears ready to integrate younger artists and performers into Bond films, partly to appeal to Gen Z and millennial audiences. Billie's involvement may have influenced that decision, and her brother Phineas's visibility online could also play a role. This represents a bigger trend in entertainment. Corporate decision-making is now a mix of culture, politics, and profitability. For artists like Billie, navigating this terrain requires balancing personal expression, fan-base loyalty, and corporate expectations. To put this into perspective, very few artists in history have performed in multiple James Bond films. Shirley Bassey, for example, is legendary for singing more than one Bond theme, and her name still carries weight decades later. Billie Eilish, according to insiders, reportedly wants to achieve something similar, a record of performing in multiple Bond films and potentially making a cameo that cements her presence in the franchise. But there's a huge difference between the past and today. Social media amplifies every move. Every performance, every comment, and every cameo is dissected by fans, critics, and online communities in real time. A single mistake can go viral, and every success is judged against the backdrop of her previous controversies. Amazon MGM Studios is clearly betting on her existing popularity, but they're also experimenting, trying to engage younger audiences and push a more modern, socially conscious narrative. It's a high-stakes gamble. On one side, you have potential rejuvenation of her brand. On the other, there's a real risk of alienating both old Bond fans and neutral viewers. The outcome? Uncertain. And that's precisely where the tension lies. So what could happen next? Let's break it down with a few potential scenarios because this situation is far from straightforward. Big win scenario. Billie's return to Bond becomes a massive success. Her music resonates with the audience, the cameo is praised, and she manages to rebuild her personal brand. Studios get the younger demographic they're hoping for, and everyone comes out looking like a winner. This could mark a major comeback moment for her career. Mixed outcome. Billie gains younger fans and some new supporters, but older fans, those loyal to the classic Bond aesthetic, may criticize the choice. Studio profits could remain steady, but her public image might take a hit. She rebuilds in one area, but loses credibility in another. It's a partial win, but the long-term impact remains unclear. Backlash scenario, the worst-case scenario. Social media outrage intensifies, fan disappointment grows, and studio profits suffer. Billie's reputation could take a serious blow, and Amazon MGM's experiment could be labeled a PR misstep. In this scenario, the decision to chase younger audiences at the expense of traditional fans might backfire, creating ripple effects across her music and public persona. The key takeaway here is that every move carries enormous weight now, not just in terms of earnings, but in terms of how the public perceives her as an artist, as a cultural figure, and as someone navigating Hollywood's high-pressure ecosystem. Billie Eilish's current situation is, in many ways, a perfect reflection of modern celebrity culture. She's losing major brand deals, facing blacklisting in certain circles, pursuing high-profile opportunities, and navigating both political and cultural expectations simultaneously. Every decision is amplified, and every misstep has consequences. This story also highlights a larger trend in Hollywood. Talent and creativity are no longer the only factors driving decisions. Studios now weigh public perception, social media influence, demographics, political narratives, and cultural relevance. Artists are expected to be brands, activists, and performers all at once. Billie's career is at a pivotal crossroads, and the choices she makes in the next few years could define her legacy, whether she's remembered for artistic excellence, controversy, or both. So now it's your turn. What do you think about Billie Eilish's next moves? Is she taking bold, smart risks by partnering with Amazon MGM and returning to Bond? Or is this a gamble that could cost her career? How do you feel about studios intentionally using controversial figures to capture younger audiences and shape modern narratives? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss it in detail. Your perspective might even shed light on angles we haven't considered yet. If you found this breakdown interesting, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps support the channel. And make sure you're subscribed to the WokeWatch for more deep dives into music, Hollywood, and cultural trends. Trust me, there's plenty more coming that you won't want to miss. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, keep watching closely, because in Hollywood, things change fast.